started to cry as I wrote this, so I try to remain holy. This poem is so deep that my prayers can't compete. So many signs that I can't make up my mind. This is more than a prayer. This is my soul begging to meet its maker. Now that I have finally reached my limit, I got so many questions to ask that I won't stop until I'm finished. I'm curious, I'm not furious. I have no experience, knowledge, or wisdom. I just have long hair, I'm nice with words, and just a little bit of rhythm. I'm just begging for proof, for me and nobody else's sake. I'm putting my life on the line to ask you everything, so any answers you give me are mine and only for me to take. And anything you tell me, I'll keep in private, I promise. And if I break it, well, feel free to throw my soul in hell just to tarnish. I'm willing to lose my life just to know the truth. And I'm not speaking for the atheist, but if you created us, then who in the galaxy created you? And I've already seen this scene that you put me through. And if we only live once, why on earth do we experience deja vu? We're made in your image, but to what extent? How much more would we be like you if our brain could use more than just 10%? Born to live life, but to live like your son. But if we're just like you, then aren't we already done? Like you to my child? I just want to be the ultimate father. But what if someone comes along the way and kills my only daughter? Do I turn my cheek or become the ultimate warrior? Because it's hard to fight fire with fire when I'm trying to learn how to walk on water. Why not send your son back in 2010? I understand it was hard to watch, but could you do it again? I think we need it more now than they did then, because it's easier to raise hell now than it's ever been. I'm not questioning your existence, but the world and how you got it operated. My soul is never at peace because I never know where my spirit truly originated. I want to be at home where I belong. So remember this conversation. I wanted to speed up the process, but suicide would have took me straight to Satan. You're our father, and the earth is our motherland. Are you married? And if not, does she have another man to produce the fruits, the grass, the water, the dirt, the mountains, and the clouds? You even nailed it down to how we don't even have to open our mouths to hear ourselves out loud. When the revelation happens, I pray that you need us, because those left behind will see hell and Tupac because they missed the calling of Jesus. And personally, I just don't want to be left behind. But if you're mad because of my questions, I'll fall back and I do the time. 7 years might feel like an eternity, but I bet that's 7 times better than eternity spent burning. And were you ever human and just happened to be the chosen one because you questioned as much as I did because you couldn't even hold your tongue? I just want to know who my father is. Is that forbidden? I could read the Bible, but there's so many versions, it's been written. If you're my shepherd, then I want to know who I serve. I'm talking face to face because an image is worth 1,000 words. And on top of that, the Bible's too simple and plain because I know you are much greater than words could ever explain. I'm not that interested in the stories. I'm sorry, but I have to admit it. I don't really care what you did. I just want to know how you did it. And I'm livid because the world is hiding things I don't understand. Is this evil getting what he wants, or does this tie in with your ultimate plan? How can you assure me that I'm in the palm of your hand? I'm scared. Sometimes I just need to feel your touch for sure, just to know that you're there. Curiosity killed the cat, but it had 9 lives. But I guess that explains why I got saved about 7, 8 times. But is this my last strike? And hopefully I'm not pushing your buttons. I'm saved, but even if I went to hell, I still want to have this discussion. I'm not worried about heaven or even the afterlife. I just want to make sure when I'm gone, my decision to follow you was really right. And if I will always sin, then you will always be disappointed. And if my best is my worst, then why still try to be anointed? If worst comes to worst, I stop going to church on the weekend. Would you still accept my prayers even if I had a short attention span? I got a confession. I had this thing for smoking weed. I know it's not accepted, but it works so fine for me. I know that I stopped, but that's when we connected so heavily. I don't care what anybody else thinks, because this relationship's only about you and me. This poem is from my heart. This is me and all of my belief. I'll gladly be persecuted. Just hang me across the murderer and right next to the thief. This may not be appropriate, so I should have stopped instead. But if y'all okay with murderers and thieves being hung, then make room for the pothead. Throw sticks and rocks so they can break my bones. I would have said stones, but I've already been stoned. I'm just so upset that Christians were the first to criticize me, then confused why I became so worldly, like, oh wow, you surprised me. Then I can only respond like, well, you should. Because I remember that I was so heavenly that I was no earthly good. I was so robotic back then that I hated it. To the point where my praise, I had to start faking it. So it's either I be so fake that it becomes real, or be so real that fake can't even reveal. And I'm real right now. I got addictions right now. And God, you can either accept me for who I am, or we can peel right now. We can go our separate ways and act like this never happened. Or we can work on my flaws, but perfect has to be out the caption. I'm throwing a temper tantrum just to get your attention. What else do I have to do to know that I know that you're listening? I know for a fact that I'm trying to do everything good. It just gets so hard to keep my faith when I always feel so misunderstood. That's why I would never wake up if I can control my dreams. Because if heaven is what you make it, then journey peace and happiness is all that's important to me. This is my soul speaking, and it's speaking to y'all's. Remember me by this poem. when I stand before God. The weird thing is, I couldn't have done this poem without your help. It's just weird how you would help me question yourself. Amen.